The IELTS writing section, a lot of people see it as this huge mountain to climb, right? But it really doesn't have to be. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down with a clear, simple playbook for both Task 1 and Task 2, so you can turn that confusion into some serious confidence. Let's jump right in. So here's the game plan. First, we'll decode what the test is actually about. Then we'll dive into mastering Task 1 with a really easy 3-step method. After that, we're going to tackle the big one, the Task 2 essay, with a winning plan. And finally, we'll tie it all together to put you on the path to success. Okay, so where do you even begin? Well, the very first step is just knowing what you're up against. You see, the writing test isn't just one big challenge. It's two totally different tasks, and they have really unique demands. Getting that difference is absolutely key to scoring high. Now, check out this contrast. Think of it like this. Task 1 is a 20-minute sprint. Your job is to describe what you see, no opinions, just the facts, from a chart, in over 150 words. But Task 2, that's a 40-minute marathon. It's worth more of your final score, you need to write over 250 words, and it's all about building a solid, persuasive argument. Two completely different skills, all in 1 hour. All right, let's zoom in on that first challenge. Task 1. You could get a line graph, a bar chart, a pie chart, heck, even a diagram showing how something is made. But no matter what they throw at you, the goal is always the same. Translate that picture into clear, concise, academic writing. So, here's the deal, and this is absolutely crucial. Your job is to be a reporter. You pick out the most important stuff, the main trends, the highest points, the lowest points, the big comparisons, and you just report it. You are not being asked what you think about the data, only what the data actually shows. It's all about objective description. Trying to describe a whole chart in just 20 minutes can feel like pure chaos. But what if I told you there's a simple, repeatable framework you could use for any Task 1 question? Well, there is. And this powerful 3-step method is it. This structure is your best friend, seriously. First, you introduce the chart by rephrasing the prompt in your own words. Second, and listen up because this is where so many people lose easy points, you write a clear overview of the main trend. What's the big picture? And then you dive into the details, grouping similar info together. That overview is so important because it shows the examiner you can see the whole forest, not just a bunch of trees. Okay, let's actually put this into practice. So here we've got a line graph showing car thefts in 4 countries over about a decade. The first step, of course, would be to introduce this graph, but what about that super important second step, the overview? Just take a second and look. Before we go on, try to find the main story here. If you had to boil this entire graph down to one single headline, what would you say? This is exactly the kind of thinking the examiner is looking for. And bam, here's a perfect example. See how it doesn't get bogged down with any specific numbers? It just identifies the single most dominant feature. Great Britain's rate was way higher the whole time. This one sentence sets the stage for all the details that are going to follow. But you might be thinking, that's great for a graph with numbers, but what if I get something weird, like this diagram on how to make bricks? Well, the good news is that 3-step method, introduce, overview, detail, it still works like a charm. What does need to change, though, is the language you use. The magic ingredient here is something called the passive voice. Look, when we're describing a process, we don't really care who or what is doing the action. We care about the action itself. We don't say, a digger digs the clay. We say, the clay is dug. This puts the focus squarely on that step in the process, which is exactly what you need to do. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the main event, the heavyweight of the writing test, Task 2. This is where you get 40 minutes to write a full essay. And remember, it counts for more of your final score. But just like Task 1, the secret to success is having a clear structure. And here's the beautiful thing about it. No matter what kind of curveball they throw at you, an agree/disagree question, a problem-solution essay, whatever, it's all going to fit into this one simple, solid format. An introduction, a couple of body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Okay, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they see the question, they panic, and they just start scribbling away. But here's a little secret. The students who get the highest scores, they don't do that. They plan. A solid plan is what separates a rushed, messy essay from a clear, high-scoring one. So, here's how you can own those 40 minutes. Spend the first 5 minutes just analyzing the question. What's the topic? What is it actually asking you to do? Then take another 5 to brainstorm and sketch out a quick plan. That leaves you a solid 25 minutes to just write, and, crucially, 5 minutes at the end to review your work. That first 10 minutes isn't wasted time, it's the best investment you can make in your essay. And a plan doesn't have to be some huge, complicated thing. Look at this. For an essay on teenage crime, you can just jot down your main points for each section, the reasons, the solutions, along with a quick example. Now, when you start writing, you're not scrambling for ideas. You've already got your roadmap. All you have to do is drive. Let's look at a really common essay type. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Here's a typical prompt about animal rights. The instructions here are crystal clear. You must discuss the first viewpoint, you must discuss the second viewpoint, and you must give your own opinion. You have to do all three. So how do you structure this? Easy. It maps directly onto the question. Your intro just sets the stage. Body paragraph 1 is all about that first view. Body paragraph 2 is dedicated to the second view. And then, in your conclusion, you wrap it up and clearly state your own opinion. It's a super logical flow, and it guarantees you won't miss any part of the question. Phew, we have covered a ton of ground, haven't we? From describing charts to building arguments. So now let's boil it all down into a final, super clear checklist that you can take with you on test day. Okay, these are the non-negotiables, your golden rules. For task 1, that overview is an absolute must. And please don't try to describe every single number. Group your data. For task 2, always, always, always take those first few minutes to analyze and plan. And for both tasks, put the question in your own words and keep one eye on the clock and your word count. So there you have it, a clear, strategic approach to totally mastering the IELTS writing test. But you know, just knowing this stuff is only half the battle. The real magic happens when you actually do it. So the question for you is, now that you have the playbook, which strategy are you going to practice first? Good luck out there.